Serenity is every normal person's dream. But if you asked me about anything related to it a couple of years ago, I would have never have known how to answer that question adequately. It was only when something huge hit me in recent years that I understood the value of changing my mindset, the way that I express myself to myself, not only out loud, but in my head, and making certain tweaks to my behavior that would allow me to maintain and gain inner peace. I was left with no other choice but to rely on myself, but to do that inner work and dissect the way that I perceived and interacted not only with myself, but also the world in general in order to survive and reach certain goals that I wanted to reach or I felt needed to reach at that certain time. So after trying every trick I could have, I realized that the way I felt, again, my mindset had to do more with anything else than the outside stimuli, so to say. Should I say that? Well, anyway, I had to change the narrative that was replaying over again in my head, over and over and over, right? And I can tell you that real inner power, resilience was born the day I made that decision. I must say, though, that changing of the mindset, changing of the behaviors, making certain tweaks, unlearning, relearning things is not an easy task. It takes time for many people, on the other hand, to come to terms with various situations or life experiences and to truly be at peace. So, whatever the reason you felt drawn to today's video, remember that you owe yourself a great life, and it begins with gaining and maintaining inner peace. But the catch here is developing it is up to you, though, and solely you. For the best strategies and tips on finally living the life of your dreams with the least resistance through making the right tweaks to your mindset and daily habits, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to get my latest uploads every week. So, let's start off with the big why. Why is it so important not only to develop inner tranquility, but also to maintain a high level of homeostasis? It is just unfortunate that life can never be this picture perfect thing. And we sometimes find ourselves in situations we absolutely have no clue how we've gotten into them in the first place. Sometimes we have dreams, but things just don't go according to plan, or we totally have to put things on ice altogether. Even then, someone who has learned how to develop and maintain inner peace has trained themselves to not look at life's detours or plateaus from a victim or pessimistic mindset, but instead use these scenarios to adjust, readjust, fine tune, or just allow things to incubate until the time is right to move forward. In these times, it would be wise to work on adjacent activities that would enhance and or complement your main goal. You learn to enjoy life through it all nonetheless, or accept situations that would otherwise break you and turn them into pivotal milestones of readjusting again and adjusting to meet or adapt to the demands of life at that time. Moving right along, inner tranquility is like medicine to the soul. Not only does it shield you from being hurt by others, it also shields you from hurting yourself. Having it means that you are mentally stable and can approach situations with a more calmer and clear disposition in order to tackle the situations appropriately and from a position of power. However, this doesn't mean you do not experience anxiety and all the other emotions that tag along with such scenario. You're not immune to it. It can happen, right? Your goal should be to become the eye of the storm instead of being swept up in whatever is taking place at the moment. With that being said, here are 6 practical tips for developing inner tranquility. Tip number 1, feed your mind positivity. This should be on the top of your list. Negativity in the form of thoughts, words, and actions are the number one culprit in ruining your personal goals and aspirations. This can look like, for example, self negative talk, entertaining unhealthy alliances, procrastinating on working towards your goals, finding excuses to why you're not where you want to be in life, and so much more, et cetera, right? So be careful what you listen to, read, or watch. Basically, pay attention and have a discerning spirit with what you're entertaining and allowing into your space, right? Because those are the things we often use to form and shape opinions about ourselves and the world around us. Is also greatly influenced by that, meaning you'll attract similar situations unconsciously, sort of say. So you want to buffer and be very mindful, like, I'm not accepting that. Nope, that's not for me. Let me walk away from that. No, I'm not entertaining that, meaning I'm not giving it my full undivided attention, and I'm not allowing to be swept up in the wave of a negativity or drama. You know the spiel, right? Tip number 2, keep good company. Surround yourself with positive and supportive people who will help you push forward. This does not mean you have to find picture perfect people, because you will never meet such people, right? You need people who will be there for you in good and bad times. Sometimes they will forget the same words they use to help you find the strength and will need you to repeat the same words to them. As you do that, you are affirming those words and engraving them into your heart and attracting those good vibes, what we call in the Ifa way of life, ire, right? Living life through least resistance, where things flow a little more smoothly because everything is energetic, everything is a frequency, Lucy Pogreso. So you want to not be an osobo or EB, meaning meeting resistance. You want to have your immediate environment the majority of the time, because yes, we go out in public, yes, we go to work. You want it to be as uplifted and as positive and conducive to your well being mentally, emotionally, and physically at all times. Okay. Tip number 3, stop comparing yourself to others. Admiring others and learning from them is a good place to start, right? Just don't compare yourself to them. What do I mean by that? When I say compare yourself, well, so and so is living this type of lifestyle. I should live that lifestyle too. Or I deserve that lifestyle too. Well, with the Ifa wisdom and way of life, we each have our own blueprint. We each have a way of life that can truly make us feel content and fulfilled, so we are not blinded by vanity, so we are not blinded by the trinkets, the pretty trinkets of life, right? And once you find your rhythm and your pace and what works for you and what's going to be good for you, then life flows more smoothly, aka ire. Then there's no need to chase, because those open the doors to envy, greed, jealousy, all these so called sins, just to make it more palatable for you, right? So you want to be mindful of that. That we're not trying to keep up with the Joneses, that we're not attaching our self worth and who we are as people to external things, right? They're nice to have, they're nice to look at, they're nice to experience, but that does not make you who you are. That should not be a barometer for your self worth. If it is, there's some adjustments that we need to make, okay? Because cause can break, houses can burn. These things are not permanent. What's permanent is your character, iwapili, the person that you are, the knowledge and wisdom that you acquire through life can attract everything that you want and need in life. Yes, some will take time and some will come swiftly. Okay. And that's one of the wisdoms that King Solomon embodied, and he understood that it's not the money, it's not the gold or the money at that time that was important. He knew that having wisdom, having knowledge, having intelligence, those three major things was going to bring him everything plus more that he needed and wanted. And it did. Even though he had an Achilles heel, he still understood the main thing. He understood the assignment, as they say in our day, right? Okay. Now, when you don't compare yourself to other people in an unhealthy way, right? It can make you feel like your dreams are delayed, especially if you do. Like you want to keep up with the Joneses, you're comparing yourself to someone who has a completely different blueprint, a completely different destiny, a completely different set of lessons and um, evolution stages that they have to go through on a soul level, on a mindset level. Maybe they don't even undertake it, but just even twins are not the same. So you see where if you comparing yourself to a completely different person, how it's like comparing apples to oranges. It's just okay. Anyway, this can make you feel like your dreams are delayed or you have failed, among other things. It can also make enemies for you and divert you from the right path due to the pressure of trying to do better or be at the same level as the next person. And we've seen that play out in the public where, people's skeletons come tumbling out of the closet or they go into bankruptcy, a whole hoopla. It's nice to see not everyone's meant to have them, and that's okay. That does not make you not you, right? Tip number 4, let go of the past. This is a big one because in the Oduoni Mei, the reversed head, Ifa speaks and gives the advice. She says, Ifa is actually a woman. Ifa says that in certain scenarios, do not allow, Lucy Pogreso, do not allow past people, places, situations make you think, say, or do the same things that you have done in the past. Because now you've realized that a certain way of thinking, a certain way of behaving is no longer serving you. It's doing more damage than good. That's why in that Odu it speaks of the wisdom of that Odu speaks of misfortune or certain obstacles coming out brought from your own hands, meaning you've called that upon yourself by either thinking a certain way because you're focusing on it. So if you're focusing on it, you prompt the universe and Mother Nature to say, oh, she's focusing on this, so let's bring her this. Because you've made that your main focus or you keep dwelling on it, Lucy Progreso. Or you're behaving a certain way and your creator is saying, hey, this way is no longer the way, or this way is totally not the way, but you keep doing it out of comfort, or you keep doing it because you're giving yourself the excuse or the mindset of, oh, this is the only way, when it's not the only way. Sometimes the rough path is the path that you're going to have to take in order to get that breakthrough, and it's not going to be pretty. You're going to give up, you're going to be tired, you're going to cry, you're going to, excuse my French, bitch and moan. But that's the route you're going to have to take for the time being. Certain changes are destructive. Ifa says when you need answers, you look to nature, and in certain cycles in nature, they'll look very destructive and dangerous and tumultuous. But out of that births new life. You see, out of that births new life. It births something more beautiful, and then you'll feel like the ancestors are showing me like a major hurricane or a major storm. After that, you feel this calm. It's a feeling that, okay, this is something new. Now we rebuild, and this is what happens. But if your past mistakes and your disappointment, you're holding on to them. Ifa says in Oturu Pomehi, the bearer, you need to cut cords with that. You need to stop holding on to the emotional garbage because now it's spilling out into your everyday life and in certain situations. Now it's going to flow into your money. Why? Because money flows. Money's always moving. It's an energy. Now it's going to spill out into your love because now you're kind of lucy progreso, corrupting your heart space. And all that emotional garbage that Otopo Mehi is speaking about is sitting where? In the belly. And allopathic doctors say that what? Or science claims that what? The majority of your immunity is in your center, the core of your being, in your belly. Now you're holding on to that. And you got a lot of major chakras. We're going to leave that to my Indian sisters and brothers from another mother with that science. But just to give you a clearer picture, you got major chakras in that midsection, right? And we can also see that in the board of Ifa when the Babalao sits and traces the Odu. They're meeting in the middle, the midpoint. So you have to be mindful of that. This is a science. This is not woo woo butterflies and bunnies. There's structure to this. And that's why I love Ifa so much because it's so practical. Just because something looks simple doesn't mean it's not profound. I look for simplicity. And I'll speak about that in the way of life, Ifa way of life in my podcast, where we speak about where if a situation or a so-called spell is complicated, I don't do it. The simplest things moves mountain. And I've seen that in my Haitian heritage where the simplest things will move mountains. When it's complicated, that means someone's life's in danger, a major sacrifice is needed. We leave those to the expert. My specialty is in keeping it simple, moving mountains with one or two ingredients, maybe three, if we on that La Roya tip, you know. But anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. Okay. Holding on to things you cannot change only serves as a reminder of the pain you've experienced and keeps you reliving that painful experience. So you're self-sabotaging here. So you're procrastinating here. Then your mindset goes down the drain. You see all the ripple effects of holding on to emotions and replaying that in your mind, right? And many times there are no benefits to that at all. So, what you need to do is give your current life a breathing chance and your dreams and aspiration the much needed attention. So much that you won't have time to revisit the past unless, like Mehi says in the Ifa wisdom, to gain the lesson, to gain the wisdom from the past. Okay, I know not to do this anymore. I know I need to perceive life through this type of lens and not the old one. Now, if a similar situation comes about in my life, now I know how to navigate it better. That's the only reason you should be revisiting the past, is to learn. Oh, I had this happen to me before. How did I overcome that? How do I need to approach that? Not to relive it in the woe is me. Because now you're prompting the universe to keep giving you that situation in different bodies, so to say. The same crap, just in different people or in different manners. But it's the same energy. Why? Because you're focused on that, right? So let's move on. Tip number 5, don't make everything about you. Trust me, you are not the center of everything that happens under the sun. And I've had to learn that lesson several times. The ancestors say, mm-mm, mm-mm. Ma'am, have several seats, please. Right? I think We all had to learn that lesson sooner or later. But anyway, life is designed to help us grow and evolve through its twists and turns. And on the flip side, there are things we experience that we'll never understand the why behind them. But what's essential to grasp is that what affects you and or what you've been through, someone else has experienced the same or a similar scenario. This is why it's important to learn from others' experiences, whether good or bad. The key here is to extract the lesson in the situation. This will help you also to understand that even the bad things others say about you or to you and their behavior has nothing to do with you personally or your self worth as a person altogether. So, we all have our own problems and weaknesses. Now, that's not an excuse for the hurt people to hurt people. In fact, you want to be wise enough to discern and recognize what the lesson is. What is the universe trying to teach you? And also how to handle the situation effectively. Your main goal is to always be in a position of power and approach uncomfortable situations from a calm and logical mind. Tip number 6, celebrate all your victories. Appreciate all your wins, including the smaller ones. Yeah. This will help you realize that life isn't out to get you and that you're not doomed to a series of misfortunes and lack. This will train your mind and help you build emotional intelligence. So, when going through difficult times and uncertainty arises, you'll navigate through them with ease and grace. Therefore, when life gives you lemons, make sure you use them to make lemonade, even if it's just a small little glass, right? This will keep you from regretting missed opportunities and wasting chances that could come your way. So, here are some of the main takeaways on today's topic. Number one, stop entertaining negative people, places, and media. Energy is easily transferred, but not so easily to transform sometimes. Yes, negative situations will arise, and you may encounter a negative Nancy or two. What's important is that you keep your distance as much as possible and learn to let things fall off your back like water. Number two, stop comparing yourself to others. Look, we all have things that we all have to work on. And we also have skeletons in our closets. Shh, don't tell anyone, right? The reality is that everyone cannot be the same at the same level or be the same. And everyone isn't or weren't meant to live a lavish lifestyle. So don't fall for the social media traps. Yes, it's so satisfying to look at and to aspire to live certain lifestyles, but we're all not meant to live that way. And that's okay. What's important is that you find your happy medium and be content with the life your creator meant for you. If there are things that you do have the power to change, go for it. But don't keep chasing a dream that's clearly not your dream. Number three, don't make everything about you. You're not the center of everything that happens under the sun. What happened to you happened to someone else and possibly worse. Try to listen to other people and be understanding. Now, again, this isn't an excuse for others to treat you badly, or we're not condoning Lucy Progreso bad behavior because projection is real in these streets. What I want you to understand is that there isn't this higher power that's out to get you. Everyone has gone through something. It's just that some are better at hiding their scars than others. So be easy on yourself. Forgive yourself. Don't put yourself under pressure. And when it's time, when it's necessary, there we go. Give yourself some break. Give it rest, right? To rejuvenate. Because the saying goes, slow and steady wins the race. Lucy Progreso. Ancestors are showing me the story of the tortoise and the hare, right? Remember who won that race? The tortoise. Yet he's the slowest. but he got there slow and steady and he made it, right? So give yourself the time and patience to navigate life at a healthy pace. There's always something new to learn, old and outdated things to unlearn or discard altogether, and readjustments that need to be made. Thus, be kind to yourself and love on yourself unconditionally. So now that you've gotten some new tools under your belt, are you ready to apply what you've just learned? I hope you are. By the way, I've created a workbook to go along with today's subject to help you to get a jump start on creating and implementing real lasting change. You can find your free copy in the description box below. And if you need more help, you know where you can find me at themoralcompass.com, where I'll provide more tips and tricks to help you on your journey. Also, if you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I would love to have you a part of the family, and I'll catch you in the next video. Stay blessed.